Belgium 4, us 1. Knocked out of our own World Cup, on our own soil, by a country we could fit inside Maryland. And all week, everyone's been asking the same question. How did we not see Belgium coming? Well, as a student of history, I'm here to offer some comfort. We never do. I'm Crane. Think of me as the voice in the back of the classroom that the history teacher hated. Except I did the reading, and I'm right. The last time we underestimated a Belgian, he was sitting in a New York office with the atomic bomb in a warehouse, and it took us 2 years to knock on his door. 41 stings. That one nearly cost us the 20th century.
In the far south of the Belgian Congo, in the province of Katanga, there was a mine called Shinkolobwe. It produced uranium ore of a purity the world has never seen before or since. The deposits America would later mine in Colorado held about 0.25% uranium. Canada's best ore, perhaps 1%. Shinkolobwe's hand-sorted pitchblende ran up to 65%.
The man who directed the Manhattan Project's supply chain would later call it, in writing, a freak occurrence in nature.
To put that in perspective, prospectors elsewhere were panning rivers for flakes. Shinkolobwe was a hole in the ground made of the thing everyone else was looking for.
And by the late 1930s, its owners had shut it down and let it flood. Uranium's only real use was coloring ceramics, and the company had already stockpiled enough to supply the world market for 30 years.
They flooded the most valuable mine in human history. On purpose. Because they had, and I quote the commercial logic of the era, enough.
In May 1939, the mine's owner, a Belgian mining company called Union Minière, sent its director to London. His name was Edgar Sengier. There, Britain's chief scientific advisor, Sir Henry Tizard, took him aside and told him something extraordinary. That his flooded mine in the Congo might hold the key to a new kind of weapon. His exact warning, that Sengier held something that could mean, quote, a catastrophe to your country and mine if this material were to fall into the hands of a possible enemy. Britain asked for an option on the ore. Sengier said no.
The man has just been told he is holding the apocalypse, and his response is, in essence, that the apocalypse is worth rather more than they're offering.
In fairness to Sengier, the scientific establishment was not exactly unanimous. Tizard himself put the odds of an actual atomic weapon at 1 in 100,000. 3 months later, in August 1939, Albert Einstein signed a letter to President Roosevelt warning that an atomic bomb might be possible. The letter named names. The most important source of uranium, it said, is Belgian Congo.
Which raises a question about the meeting itself. This will almost certainly never work. Also, guard it with your life. Somehow, both men left satisfied.
In September 1939, as Europe went to war, Sengier prepared to move his headquarters to New York. Before leaving Brussels, he gave one order: ship the company's entire refined stock, the radium and the processed uranium sitting at its Belgian refinery, to Britain and America immediately. The radium made it out. The uranium did not. 3,500 tons of it were still waiting for transport when the German army arrived in May 1940. The Reich seized the lot. It became the primary feedstock of the German nuclear program.
Worth pausing on. At the end of 1940, Germany held nearly 3 times more of the Congo's uranium than we did. The 20th century, decided by shipping schedules.
Sengier drew the obvious conclusion. Nothing valuable should remain anywhere the war could reach. In the months after Belgium fell, fearing the Congo itself might be next, He ordered half of Shinkolobwe's above-ground stockpile, some 1,200 tons of the richest uranium ore on Earth, loaded quietly onto ships bound for New York.
A private businessman unilaterally relocating the atomic age across the Atlantic on his own authority as a precaution. Filed under things you could apparently just do in 1940.
He did not ask his government in exile. He did not inform the colonial administration. He did not, in fact, tell anyone. The ore arrived in New York in the autumn of 1940 and was placed in storage. Not in a vault, not on a military base. In a commercial warehouse on Staten Island, beneath the Bayonne Bridge, belonging to a vegetable oil company. 2006 steel drums, each 86 centimeters tall, stacked beside the cooking oil, and on each drum, a label printed with what can only be described as suicidal honesty: Uranium Ore, product of Belgian Congo.
The greatest secret of the century, protected by the one security system that has never failed. Nobody reads labels.
The mayor of New York was quietly informed of what the city was hosting. The borough president of Staten Island, the man actually responsible for the island the drums were sitting on, was not.
Which tells you precisely where Staten Island stood in the hierarchy of people worth telling. Below the vegetable oil, apparently. The oil at least got a mention in the inventory.
And there the ore sat for 2 years, because Sengier now faced a problem no one had prepared him for. He could not give the atomic bomb away. In the spring of 1942, he went to the State Department and offered them the stockpile, twice. The officials he met were polite, attentive, and interested in one thing only: cobalt. America needed cobalt for the war effort, and Union Miniere minded. As for uranium, the State Department had been told nothing about atomic research. As far as they knew, uranium was a pigment for coloring dinner plates.
Picture the meeting. A Belgian executive: I have 1,200 tons of high-grade uranium in this city. Would you like it? And our government, nodding thoughtfully and replying, yes, yes. But about the cobalt. The bomb was on the table. They asked about the other metal. Twice.
What Sengier did not know was that America's atomic program did exist, buried so deep in secrecy that its own State Department had never heard of it. And in September 1942, that program finally did the arithmetic on its uranium supply and came up short. On the 18th of September, a colonel of the Army Corps of Engineers named Kenneth Nichols was sent to an office at 25 Broadway to see a Belgian businessman about some ore.
You can have the ore now. It is in New York, 1,000 tons of it. I was waiting for your visit.
Those were his actual words, as Nichols recorded them. The negotiation that followed lasted about an hour. The contract for the most consequential raw material purchase of the 20th century was written out by hand on a yellow legal notepad, 8 sentences. Nichols kept the original and tore off a carbon copy for Sengier.
8 sentences. On a notepad. Your mobile phone contract is 40 pages.
As the meeting ended, Sengier said one more thing. Nichols was under orders to reveal nothing about what the ore was for. He needn't have worried.
You don't need to tell me how you'll use it. I think I know.
Nichols would later write that without Sengier's stockpile, America simply would not have had the uranium to justify building its enrichment plants at all. That the bomb would have arrived, in his words, months or years late. 2/3 of all the uranium the Manhattan Project ever used came from that one Congolese mine. The bulk of the uranium in the Hiroshima bomb had spent 2 years under the Bayonne Bridge, next to the vegetable oil, waiting for somebody to ask. From the moment America signed, Shinkolobwe stopped existing. The mine was erased from every published map. The word uranium was banned from diplomatic cables and commercial documents. In contracts, the ore became Q2. On shipping barrels out of Katanga, it was stamped Special Cobalt. In intelligence traffic, it traveled as gems or diamonds, or simply raw material.
There is something almost poetic about it. We spent 1942 refusing to buy uranium because we only cared about cobalt, and then spent the rest of the war shipping uranium labeled as cobalt. The State Department was wrong at the time and retroactively right by paperwork.
The concealment went further than language. The Federal Reserve was instructed to omit the uranium transactions from its financial reports entirely. Government auditors were ordered to accept the accounts without question. The purchase of the atomic bomb's fuel left no trail in the books of the United States.
Somewhere in 1943, there is an auditor looking at several million unexplained dollars, being told don't ask, and writing approved. That man kept a bigger secret than most spies, and never knew what it was.
After the war, when the United Nations required all international treaties to be publicly registered, the uranium arrangements faced a problem. The solution was elegant. The agreements were simply typed into the minutes of a committee. Meeting minutes, it turns out, are not treaties.
And my personal favorite. The whole operation ran through a body called the Combined Development Trust until Sengier had it renamed to Agency, on the grounds that the word trust sounded uncomfortably capitalistic and might upset the Belgians.
They erased the mine from the maps. It was not the only thing they erased. We know the drums on Staten Island to the centimeter. 2,006 of them, 86 centimeters tall, 64 wide. We do not know how many men filled them. No records were kept. The workforce of the most important mine of the Second World War has no census, no list of names, no file. What we do know is how they worked. Around the clock, in 3 shifts, under searchlights, sorting ore of up to 65% uranium oxide by hand. No gloves, no masks, no warning of what it was. At that concentration, a miner could absorb a modern year's safety limit of radiation in about 2 weeks. They were paid the equivalent of 10 to 20 cents a day. The radioactive waste was left in the open, in a region of heavy rain. Some of the miners' homes were built from it.
After the war, the survivors of Hiroshima were followed by medical studies for decades. Their health traced, recorded, published. For the men who dug the uranium that fell on Hiroshima, no study was ever conducted. Not one record, not one name.
They wrote 8 sentences for the ore. They wrote nothing for the men.
When the war ended, the invoices came due. They were paid very selectively. Belgium did well. Its post-war reconstruction was financed with an ease its neighbors could only envy, and America and Britain paid to modernize the mine itself. When Brussels asked for the reactor technology it had been promised in the 1944 agreement, Washington pointed to a new law, the McMahon Act, which made sharing atomic secrets illegal and offered money instead. $12 million, dressed up as an export tax, to fund Belgium's own nuclear research. Belgium accepted.
A promise, converted into a law against keeping the promise, converted into a check. Diplomacy is just accounting with better stationery.
The Congo's share was of a different kind. The export tax that compensated Belgium was explicitly barred from being spent on Congolese healthcare or social services. The territory that had supplied the uranium received a $70 million loan, restricted in its entirety to the railways, airfields, and ports required to extract its minerals faster.
The Congo was paid in infrastructure. Specifically, the infrastructure needed to keep paying everyone else.
And Sengier? In 1946, he received the Presidential Medal for Merit, the first non-American civilian ever so honored. The ceremony had one complication. Everything he had done was still classified. So the citation on the most important medal of his life reads in full, "Services in supplying material."
His country's highest civilian honor, for something the medal itself was forbidden to name. He supplied material. So does a stationery shop.
The mine kept producing into the Cold War, feeding the American stockpile, until the vein itself began to run dry. And then, in 1960, the Congo became independent. Its first prime minister, Patrice Lumumba, announced that the days of unrestricted foreign control over Congolese uranium were over. 11 days after independence, Katanga, the province where the mine stood, seceded. 7 months later, Lumumba was dead.
That story has its own file. We'll be opening it. As for the football, 4-1, out of our own tournament, courtesy of Belgium. There will be inquests. But if it's any consolation, the last time Belgium had something we desperately needed, it took us 2 years to notice. This time we noticed in 90 minutes. Progress.